Good looking now, G.
Everybody ever tell you that it makes you beautiful. Beautiful. You're so beautiful. God made you beautiful. Beautiful. Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Hype. What if I told you that if you were a woman 60 years ago, as a wife, your only goal was to make sure your home is a place of peace, order, and tranquility where your husband can renew himself? Well, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how women's roles have changed throughout the years. We'll also be discussing how these changes, if they have completely changed, relates to career, dating, and marriage. Joining us for today's discussion are founder and president of Uniquely You Summit, Shalia Lachey Sutton, and certified professional coach and mentor, Kimberly Day Hardy. Stay tuned, The Hype begins right after this.
Are you a local artist and you would like to have your music featured on The Hype? Well, we might be looking for you. We're looking for respectful hip-hop, R&B and soul, dance and house music, inspirational music, and rock and pop. Please send us the following. We need 5 pictures, 5 edited tracks, 1 music video if you have it, and a bio of the artist. Send it to thehypetvshow@gmail.com.
I'm Al Butler from 900 AM WURD.
I'm Charisma McElwain from the CW Philly.
Hey, what's up? This is Kyla Pratt.
Hey, what's up? I'm O'Shea Loren from 100.3 WRNB, and you are watching The Hype.
You're watching The Hype.
And you're watching The Hype.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women on Comcast Channel 66, Philly Cam.
Welcome back. Make sure you guys give love to our Hype DJ 007 spinning music from local Philly artists. Today, the Hype Squad includes my co-host Courtney and Vanessa, who will make sure that the audience has a chance to ask questions. Now we are joined here by our guests, Shalia Lachey Sutton and Kimberly Day Hardy. How are you ladies?
Hi.
Fine. Awesome. Okay, so tell me about yourself, how you got into your career.
Okay, well, as you know, I'm president and founder of the Uniquely You Summit for Girls. Our mission is to help girls 11 to 18 uniquely define, discover, and become who they are. And I just feel like this is my life's mission. There was no falling into this. This is what I am here to do.
Great.
Awesome. Well, I love what she just said. Similar work. I'm a speaker, author, educator. My company is Walking in Purpose Unlimited. We coach, we train, and we empower people to live their purpose, to connect with that, to help them be healthier, be prosperous, and just really live their dreams.
Awesome. Okay, so both of you ladies talked about having, a position in which you're helping other young ladies figure out their purpose in life. Now, what if we said that back then, about 6 years ago, as I said in the intro, that your purpose was to please a man, and that was it, to be a wife, to be up and pretty and cook and clean. What do you think has changed over the years, and what do you think about that being still here today? Do you think it's okay to still have that now?
I think certain traditions still work. And I think you should honor certain traditions. I think that's
such as.
You didn't know. I'm not talking about cooking and cleaning. I think there should be a balance. I think relationships work when individuals in the relationship are willing to support each other.
Right.
So, if you're having an off day and you're tired, why can't the man do the dishes and do the cleaning?
Right.
So why can't it be that balance in that way? But I do think some traditions work. I think that, it's important to look nice for your husband or your man. I do think that that's important.
Right.
So, certain things I think still work.
Cool.
And I think it also depends on what those roles or how those roles have been defined for you. With whatever position or whatever your purpose is, you really should tap into what that is and be fully engaged with it. So if you are a wife, whatever that means, however that's defined for you, you should stay true to that.
Right.
If you're in a relationship or balancing your career, whatever it is that you're doing, you really should be a student of that and give it your best. We do it in everyday life anyway, so why shouldn't our relationships have, be given the best? Why shouldn't what we do have that sort of full energy force given to it?
So you guys kind of both touched on within your relationship. So I know some of us, we're still dating and we may not be married. Should our roles be different dating versus married? And if so, what should they look like? Because I know that's a kind of, you don't want to buy the cow when you could get the milk for free kind of concept. If you're cooking, cleaning, doing all this stuff, and I don't even have a ring on your finger, where do you find that balance between what's good to do while dating and what's not?
I truly believe that the balance, again, is fine when you know exactly what it is that you've been called to. Whatever it is that you've been called to do, you are doing that. So when you're dating, your role is to work on yourself, be the best version of yourself that you can be. If you're in school or if you're working, you're building your career, whatever it is that you're doing, that's your focus. When you become married, yes, your role does shift some because now you're responsible as a team. And so when you get on a team, any type of team you play, you know that it is all about helping that team kind of become its best. That's the focus while you still maintain yourself.
She's the head coach.
I like that even better. Okay, so we talked about how for women it has changed, their role in marriage and relationships. Do you think men's roles have changed?
No.
Why?
Because I think, just take the culture, for instance. I think that in the culture, our role is still, to be submissive and to be a pleaser. So I think that it's hard for their role to change, for them to understand, I guess, the capacity in which they're supposed to operate in a relationship if the culture is telling them that it's still the same way.
Right.
And I think when we look at society overall, what's happening, life shifts based on that. So I wouldn't say that it's changed as much as evolved, if you will. It's still the man's role to be the provider and things for his family and, of course, to be an upstanding citizen. But in this economic environment right now, people are doing really different things to make sure that they are maintaining themselves financially and things like that. So you kind of move with the time and you kind of create that reality for yourself in that context. So I would say that it's kind of an evolving role. Still the same, still holding on to tradition, but at the same time, really kind of rising to the occasion of what's happening right now. People are doing what they have to do to survive.
Right.
So you guys kind of also spoke on this a little bit, but what about finding that balance? So we have female empowerment, we're strong, we're independent, we don't need anybody, but then you have those people who are actually okay with holding some of those traditional values. Where do you find, or how do you think you find that balance between the two?
Well, it's interesting. People so define that word balance in so many different ways. I find that it really is a dance. It's not really one perfect or specific way to do it. I think that once you figure out what the strategy is going to be for your day or whatever it is that you're doing, then you sort of kind of come into this place where you say, okay, I need to give 10 minutes to this, 15 minutes to this. This is a 2-hour thing. This is 5 hours. And if whatever my schedule is, I need to make sure that I have time for myself. So I think balance is just all about, again, being your best self. That is literally what it is. And whatever you do to do that, that's what you focus on.
And for me, when you throw kids into the mix, there's It's day to day. It really is a day to day balance. You can plan as much as you want. You can plan Monday through Friday. If somebody gets an ear infection or somebody's sick, it's just different. You know, so I think that balance is really about how you're going to manage your day. You know, waking up and, you know, the goal was to get a certain thing done, but sometimes it doesn't pan out that way. So I think it's also too about maybe keeping your cool and thinking about maybe what you're not going to let ruffle your feathers that day, and really getting through it the best way you possibly can, and then maybe going with that plan for Tuesday.
Okay, so we've been talking about, you know, relationship and dating, but, you know, most of our audience is, you know, ages between 14 to 25. So what do you think would be, or what do you think is acceptable and non-acceptable for, like, a female's role in a relationship when they're, you know, as young as 14 and, you know, growing into, you know, a woman?
I think this age, you know, there's way too much trial and error going on.
What do you mean by that?
I think that girls are trying too many things knowing that they're probably going to fail when it comes to relationships, and I think it's being encouraged. And it shouldn't be, because you lose a bit of yourself doing that. If you have, you know, you're dating, you know, 3 or 4 guys in a year, and out of, you know, 4 of them like a certain thing about you, but another one doesn't. You know, it's hard to really figure out what you like best about you, what's awesome about you, when you should really be focusing on you instead of focusing on maybe what somebody else thinks about you. So I think that trial and error helps. You get lost in that. You lose a bit of yourself in dating so much in your younger years, and then interestingly enough, I think the culture tells you to date a lot.
Yeah,
but what happens is you end up losing so much of yourself, and then you find it in your 30s. I know that, you know, I'm 33, and it's like, what in the world was I doing over the past 10 years? You know, like, it was too much. Right. And I really should have been focusing on what was important to me, what I liked about myself, not really caring about what somebody else thought about me. So I think you lose yourself a lot in dating so much at a young age.
Yeah.
This is my opinion.
I totally agree, though. It's so true. You do wind up getting to a place where you're just like, how in the world did I get here? I think with young people today, and I encounter this so much in my work with youth, there is such a big focus on loyalty. Everybody wants to be loyal and respected. And I think when you're in that age group, 14 to 25 and beyond, you have to be loyal to yourself first. And then you can consider other relationships in your life and how that should play out for you. What is healthy and what's not. That's what, you know, they have to really understand and tap into. There's a quote that I love, and it just rang true as you were speaking. It says that the moment you settle for less than what you deserve, you get even less than what you settle for. And so when you are compromising yourself in relationships, friendships, you know that it doesn't feel right, you get that gut feeling when you know it's just like, this is not right, you need to immediately check that and say, you know, it's time for me to be loyal to myself first, because the best relationships are attracted when you are, again, your best self. That's how you attract the people that you really want in your life. When things are off balance, or your priorities are out of order, or you're just simply in this place where you're just, you know, attracting all of that.
And I know you talked about the whole ride or die, you know, loyalty thing. We're going to come back into that, because that's a very hot topic. So before we do that, we'll have a break and we'll be right back.
Definitely, to me, cheating is if you break the agreement or the understanding that we come to.
Agreement?
Yes. So we can, whatever kind of grounds that we come to, then if you break that, then I'll feel that you cheated.
If we don't talk about it specifically, is fair game?
Well, it's always supposed to be some type of communication. That's why we have a misunderstanding. Because in your mind, you might think, oh, I can talk to males, but he can't talk to females. I mean, it's a two-way street.
Okay.
So there's no double standard. There's no double standard. It shouldn't be any double standard. This should be an open communication, and everybody should have an understanding, know where they stand at in a relationship, so then there won't be no problem.
So Erica, what's cheating to you? Cheating to me is anything that, like, it's, for the most part, it's sex, right? But it's also talking to someone else, because that's going to lead to sex. Any kissing, anything basically that's going to disturb our relationship in some type of way. So if you're having sex with somebody else, if you're talking to somebody else on an intimate level and it's not business, that's cheating to me.
Exactly. What's yours?
I mean, cheating for me is anything that you wouldn't do in front of me. So if you're at a party and you're doing some inappropriate thing things and you wouldn't do it in front of me, that's cheating. Don't do it.
What? I think cheating is anything you feel like you can't tell me about. I am a very open person. I'm kind of an open book, and if you can't tell me about it, I think you're lying for a reason.
And that's our word on the street.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women on Comcast Channel 66, Philly Cam.
Welcome back. We are still here with our guests. So ladies, before we left off, we were talking about the whole loyalty thing. And one of the questions I have for you is the whole ride or die mentality. Have you heard about it? You know, and it's really pertinent. It's not pertinent only in the young age, because I hear grown women talk about stuff, I'm ride or die. So what do you think about that? Is that a good thing, a bad thing? Is there an extreme? So what do you think?
Well, there's certainly extremes to it. I think it's a state of mind. It's how you perceive your situation to be. So if you feel like you need to be in a situation that you're riding or dying for something that is important to you, then perhaps it's justified in that sense. But again, if it's just, something really just ridiculous, something crazy, and you're like, I'm ride or die all day, you really need to check what you are aligning yourself with, because literally you can die, and we've seen it.
Yes.
So it really is about those internal checks and being really confident in the person that you are. Ride or die for the things that are right.
That's right. I concur.
Okay, so I know the audience has some questions, so we're going to throw it over to Vanessa, who's going to have some audience questions.
All right, so we've been hearing a lot about what the ladies have to say, but we have Kyle over here, and he has a question.
Thank you. I know identity is a big issue, and I know you can lose yourself being in a relationship with several men. However, the media plays a major role in our society, whether you're 33 maybe and your secret pleasure is scandal or basketball, hip hop, whatever. Or you're 13 and you like Nicki Minaj and Miley Cyrus. So what advice do you have for, or do they have, or have for young women to kind of remember who they are, and regardless of the influences?
I'd love to answer that. It's interesting because I look back on when I had graduated from Spelman in 2002, and I thought, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? Now that I have a degree, what am I supposed to be doing? Now, mind you, this is, over 10 years ago, but I think that young girls don't have enough hobbies. When you think about young men, they'll play basketball until their knees don't work anymore. I mean, they just will, what are young girls doing? What kind of hobbies do they do besides maybe, hair salon, looking pretty, things like that. I think that we lose a lot of focus and start to focus solely on the relationship, or who we're dating, or what kind of relationship we're in, when we do not have other things going on in our lives. So it's important, that young girls get involved in other things, like whether it's tennis or, a hobby like reading, whatever the case is. We don't have enough hobbies, I think, as young girls.
That's so true.
So you think about, after, you've gotten your degree, you start to think about marriage, and you start to think about, having children, and you start to think about, well, what's my wedding going to be like? And guys are not thinking about that.
Absolutely not.
They're not thinking about
all the time. They're like, I'm not ready for that. I still gotta live my life. I still gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta, what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And for a lot of men, I hear they say they're not ready for marriage until they're 30-something years old.
Right.
Like, then I'll be prepared to have, and women, we're like, okay, going through this book at 15.
Right.
What's my wedding? I knew this girl in high school that had a wedding book.
Right.
For this boyfriend who she is now with. Like, and it's at 15, you're having a wedding book. Like, why? Why are we relating like that?
So when you say, they don't want to get married until they're in their 30s, and we're thinking about this fresh out of college, or maybe even before then, what are we doing in that 15-year span? We should be traveling the world. You know what I mean? Thinking about what it is that you want to do with your life, discovering your purpose, starting a business, all of that in the meantime. But what we're doing is we're dating a whole lot, still losing.
Trial and error.
Right, exactly. The trial and error, continue to lose more of yourself during that time. So.
Okay.
And I totally agree. I think you should, I would say to young girls to find that one, maybe two things that you really enjoy doing, and spend time doing that. And I'm not talking about dating on the phone. I'm talking about a real hobby or whatever you're interested are. If you say you want to open a salon someday, volunteer somewhere. If you say that you want to start a business, get mentorship from a business owner. Do something and focus on it. Doesn't have to be a lot of things, but allow that to begin to define your identity.
Right.
Because we're flooded with reality TV. Everybody watches whatever, and they paint a picture that things are a certain way, and it really is very misleading. You interview these ladies behind the scene, and they'll tell you, oh, it's not real, girl, it's not real, it's not real. Life is unscripted. I don't know whose phrase that was, but I remember that being a phrase for a TV show. So I would tell young ladies, young girls, get in the game, focus on 1 or 2 things that you love doing, and spend your time on that.
Okay. Next question we have.
All right, next we have Nubia over here with a question.
Okay. My question is, it just seems like nowadays it's kind of hard for people to keep a relationship without it being without it tearing apart. It just seems like people let they let the social network or other people come in between their relationship. So, what do you think the best way is to keep a healthy relationship without it actually falling apart?
Because we talk a lot within our CLA sessions about how the strain of Facebook watching, Facebook stalking. Why did she like your page? Why did you like her page back? Why are you following her?
And it's always the female that is doing this. Like we're saying, so consumed into the guy.
No hobbies.
You know, I guess the question was kind of like, well, what do you think we as females can do to prevent these things from happening, where we're letting everybody and everything dictate what we do?
I think you should really do a self-esteem check first. Just see where you are. We all have that internal system that says, this is not right, it doesn't feel good, I don't feel good doing it. Check that first, and then if it doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to walk away. We hear young ladies say that all the time. I'm afraid if I do this, then he's going to do that. If that's the case, he'll do it. Let him go, and that will make space for the person who's supposed to be in your life. How you are right now, the work that you're doing growing up as young women, is the person that you show up with in marriage. So the best thing that you can do is really build that person up the best way that you really can be. So that when you do become a wife one day, and I know this, but when you become a wife one day, you will really be able to show up for who you really are, and you're more likely to have a better, healthier relationship. Not perfect, healthier.
Yes, which is a difference. When people think of healthy, they mean perfect. Right.
Okay, you ladies are speaking. Let me just say that. Great advice. And we have Era here with another question.
Hi. My question is, I personally find it hard to find people, not just with like girlfriends or guy friends, but even with, I guess, potential like crushes or whatever. And how do you find somebody that you can relate to? Because I find it hard to find people that have the same interests as me, because I don't like a lot of stuff that most people my age like. So, and it's hard, and I kind of face ridicule sometimes because of that. So it's hard to find people I can actually trust and relate to. So, do you have any advice on that?
I do. I've been there, done that, always been that kind of person that marched to my own beat, if you will. And I say, you create your own thing. If you establish your own sort of system, not system, but create who you are, other people will follow, because people will wonder, well, you're different. What makes you stand out? What makes you do what you do? I want to find out more about who you are, and don't be afraid. Sometimes you do have to stand alone in your own thing, and it is okay. If it's something that people are doing and it doesn't align with who you are, don't succumb. Don't say, well, I'm going to change because I want to be with the crowd. Do your own thing. Pave your own road, and people will follow. Trust me.
Right. And walking in your purpose and discovering who you are, you have to be willing to be rejected. You know, to be successful, you have to be willing to be rejected. And a lot of times, that's where that self-esteem thing pops up, and girls end up following the crowd. But you've got to be willing to be rejected to get what you want out of life.
Right.
That's so true.
All right, well, that's all the questions we have.
Okay, so how do you feel that, as women, we should hold ourselves accountable? Because a lot of things that I know you and I notice is that the moment something happens, it's blame somebody else. So what do you think about that?
Wow. Well, if you think that's another show, I'm just kidding.
If you don't have an answer, we will come right back. Give you some time. So we'll take a break right now, and we'll be right back.
Are you a local artist and you would like to have your music featured on The Hype? Well, we might be looking for you. We're looking for respectful hip-hop, R&B and soul, dance and house music, inspirational music, and rock and pop. Please send us the following. We need 5 pictures, 5 edited tracks, 1 music video if you have it, and a bio of the artist. Send it to thehypetvshow@gmail.com. You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women.
Before we left off, we were talking about accountability to ourselves as women. So ladies, what do you think we as women should do when it comes to just being accountable for yourself?
I think that it's important to have girlfriends you can trust. You know, we all have that go-to friend that you know that's going to agree with everything that you have to say.
Yeah.
Your girl keep saying, yeah, he really likes you. Yeah. And then you have another girlfriend or somebody else that might be in your life that you know is going to tell you the truth that the stuff you don't want to hear.
Yes.
So I think that that's a good way, especially at a young age, for accountability. Because sometimes, you know, you listen to your own voice and it's really not lining up with. It is. That's a great word. But you get somebody in your, you know, have somebody in your life that you know you can go to and they're going to keep it real with you. And sometimes for young ladies, that's a male friend, you know, that doesn't want anything from you. You might have been friends for a long time, and he's going to give you, you know, the real deal and tell you what you should be doing and what's not the move and what is. So I think that that's, you know, a good way to stay accountable.
Definitely, and just stay in touch with that your internal, with your gut basically. When you know that something is not right, just don't be afraid to move on it and say, you know, I need to do something different. I love what you said because I instantly thought of mentors, and it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that's, you know, 30, 20, you know, years older than you, but someone who can just be, they may be 5 years older than you, but someone that you respect, that you value, and you listen to them and do what they say. Listen to them.
Or mirrors too. Somebody that you know you have in your life that you admire their relationship, you know, and in that relationship you admire them, you know, collectively and separately. I think that's a good way to also say, well, maybe this is, you know, I shouldn't be doing that because I'm sort of following her lead. So I think good relationship mirrors are important as well. So find someone, you know, in your life that you know you admire their relationship with their significant other, and I think that's a good barometer.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Absolutely.
And I think, as you said, mentors are one of the things that we should have, and I find it's a disservice to a lot of young women who don't have mentors, and to, you know, us older ones who should be reaching out to younger women. It's not only their responsibility, it should be us too, who's lending a hand to doing all that. Thank you ladies so much for, you know, your time being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
We would like to thank our DJ 007 and our special guests, Shalia Lachey Sutton and Kimberly Day Hardy. Thank you so much for being with us. If you would like to learn more about the music that you heard on today's show, or if you would like to be a member of our studio audience, or like to learn more about our monthly Healthy Lifestyles workshop, please visit our website, thehypetvshow.com. I'm Jessica Charles, and for Courtney, Vanessa, and the whole Hype team, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good looking now. Everybody, have to tell you that you're beautiful. You're so beautiful. Excuse me, miss, no disrespect, you're very precious. Please tell me what's your name. You're a precious gem and got to blame. No, I'm not trying to spit the game, cause it's your soul I'm trying to claim. You probably never heard of this. I love affair without a kiss. All the diamonds in the world could never hold to your value. You're a precious